Hi everyone, welcome to Willis Sound. Here we have a beautiful API 1608 with an expander, so it's now 3208. We have an enormous set of barefoot mini mains, which are absolutely incredible to work with. I don't have the best ears, but I can hear anything on those. It's been incredible. We also have this cool Mara tape machine, which has been completely redone by the guys at Mara down in Nashville, and it sings like a piece of beautiful work. It's a beautiful piece of machinery. Those guys do the best tape machines around, and it's another joy to have around here. Roland Compy rhythm from roughly late 70s, early 80s. It's pretty freaking wild. So over here, we got a really great selection of outboard gear. I'll just start from the top and work our way down. We got a DBX 165A, a distressor, which ends up on a lot of stuff. These purple 1176s are a joy to work with. Those are almost used on every session. I prefer the compressed stuff sometimes on the way in. A hairball blue stripe built by Jem back in the day. This Acme Audio compressor is pretty special. From the story I was told, there's only two of them in existence. They were both built for Jack White. Jack White only bought one of them. We ended up with the other one. But there's also some mislabeled stuff on it. So where it says limit, it should really be limit compressor bypass. And I think there's another 2 or 3 things mislabeled on it. And that may be why we ended up with it. But that may not be a factual story. The LA610 is one of my go-tos on a lot of bass tones. That's a pretty standard piece of gear. The giant knobs are always a joy to work with. It was one of our first nice pieces of gear, so I got a ton of experience doing vocals on it too, back in the day. Cool set of Calrex, Neve style pre's. Gets a lot of room mic and some vocal tones. AEA ribbon mic pre we have for our 88. V76s, which are super sought after. They don't make it on a ton of recordings. This one's had some issues. They're old finicky things. They need some work. When they do come out, they're amazing. These ADMs are pretty fun to work with. Reach for those on electric guitar quite a bit. The RFTs are pretty solid too. They're the geranium style transformers, so those are always a party to get banging on. We have a Motown tube DI up here. It is serial number 1, which is really something to brag about, I guess. We have a different tube set up in there. I'll sometimes play with them, use some different style tubes. Oh man, like this thing on vocals and just like a Shure 58, and it's just absolute fire all day long. That's a really fun piece to have. EchoFix is an exciting company. From what I understand, they cut their teeth repairing older tape echoes, and now they design their own, and it's a freaking monster. You can do everything you want with it. It's got 3 heads, 1/4-inch controls for volume expression pedal. It's even got a CV. Yeah, it's got a CV remote speed. It's very exciting. I have not yet cracked the code and done everything you can do on that, but that's been a very exciting piece of gear to have in. We have a vintage EP2. The guy we have this from claims it's the best sounding one he's ever heard. Between those 2 echoes, we can do some pretty serious sounds. A couple digital verbs. This is a really exciting piece of gear. The smaller BX10 right here in the control room, racked ready to go on all your projects. And then down in the basement, we're fortunate enough to have 2 working EMT plate reverbs. We have an original mono setup, and then we have the modded Martech stereo version. We built the place so the band can come here and play live, isolate what they need to do, and capture the lightning in the bottle. One of our centerpieces is this beautiful diffuser absorber we have going on. It's all hand split pine with a speaker cloth and then rigid fiberglass insulation behind it. So it works as a diffuser and also works as an absorber, and it looks beautiful. The guy did a great job with it. We have a Rhodes from the late 70s, an old Aerosonic, a cool B3 from the late 60s, which is in beautiful shape. Not only a Wurlitzer A200, we also have a 140B. So the church was built in the late 1880s, and to match, we have a late 1880s Steinway Model A living here, making its way onto a bunch of records, and it's a beautiful alternative as a darker piano on a lot of stuff. One of my go-to mic setups on this piano is 3 Soyuz 13s, 2 tubes up front over the strings, and 1 FET with an Omni capsule, and the hole pointed directly at the soundboard, maybe about an inch away from it or less. Obviously the bigger, wider stereo mics over the strings are going to get your melted chord tones and a real natural sound to it. I use the close-up mic, the Omni 13, right against the soundboard to help keep some presence so I can bring it in up through the mix, and it really cuts. You get best of both worlds. So we have this really cool Juke Warbler Muse, which is a boutique, kind of rare vibe. It's fun. It's got a 10 and a 12-inch speaker and a pentode tritone switch, so you can get a lot of different tones out of it. So we got this really cool 70s Les Paul Banana Yellow Custom. That's a color that's earned over time. You can't buy that. So, this was originally white, and the smoking over the years had really yellowed it. You know, this looks like kitchen yellow. When you walk into an old 70s kitchen that hasn't been redone, some of the finishes, that's what's going on here. Fortunate enough to have a cool Showbud 6139, 1974 I believe it is. I got it from an antique collector, I think it was 2019, maybe 2018. So that's a fun piece to have here. It's got the matching stool. Nothing sounds quite like a Showbud. You can't really fake that. So, and it's got history to it. Late 70s Vibro King, I believe it is. It makes its way onto a ton of records. It's really silky sounding for a Fender. A lot of Fenders are pretty bright and they have harsh EQ points. That one's really forgiving. I actually like it on keys a lot too, which is why I had it hanging out by the Whirlies. It's really that, and like a Roland Jazz Chorus are kind of my go-to key amps around here. So those have been fun.